So why am I here? I'm not a politician. Why did I get asked to be at 1 million tea parties over the last 2.5 years? I don't dress as Ben Franklin. I kind of look like, my hair kind of looks like a founding father, or so I've been told. Maybe that's why. I don't dress like Ben Franklin. I don't talk about the Constitution, though I would fight and die for the Constitution, but I don't talk about the Constitution. And if you've seen my bank account, I'm in no position to talk about fiscal responsibility. Why did I get invited from the lowly stage in Santa Ana, California, in the other Orange County in 2009? Why was I invited there? Why was I invited to introduce Sarah Palin at the National Tea Party Convention? It was because I talked about the mainstream media and their dereliction of duty. What I want to tell you is I know Cylinder went bust. I know we've spent trillions. But in the last 3.5 years, mainstream media, we have trained an army of citizen journalists who are doing the job that you refuse to do. That is what I do for a living. And the press wonders how we break these stories. It's easy. I've got you. How many people here have a day job? And then by night, it's almost a sick movie, like Angel. Because they didn't do their jobs, the American people said, then we're going to do it for you. And I want to show the mainstream media, wherever they are, I want you to hold up in the air and show them that you're a cameraman and that you're a reporter. How many people here have a cell phone, a video recorder of some type? And how many people, pull your hands, keep your hands up in the air, okay? And how many people, put your hands down if you disagree, that you're not a reporter, that you're not out there, and if you see Acorn or SCIU biting a person's finger off, that you're not going to videotape that and put that up on the internet, and I will go out there and make sure that the world sees it. And that is what has happened. And I'd say that that's the most I've ever spoken about Barack Obama, by the way, because I've said to people, it's not personal. They want us to make it personal so that they can make it about race. But this is about Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and their Caucasian overspending butts. It's not about Barack Obama. It's about the radical, progressive left. And in college, they told me that this is what they stood for. I can't believe I didn't see it coming. I was an American Studies major, and I studied Marx day and night. And when they ask on the stage, do you think that the president is a socialist? It's like a gotcha question. All I know about progressives is that they change what they are in name every single year, because every time they try what they do, they fail, and then they catch you because you didn't use the right term. They're not socialist. How dare you call them socialists, even though when you talk to them, they're like, I like Sweden, I like how Finland does it, I like how France does it. I go, they're socialists. Don't compare me to socialists. Then stop trying to model the United States after failed European socialist countries. That's That's what this battle is about, mainstream media. We are in an existential civil war in this country, and the mainstream media, by not vetting this president, instigated it, and we're going to get ourselves out of it by proving to the American people what is going on. And I have some proof. You can tell people that they're crazy in their minds, you Orwellian freaks, that when they're thinking out there, when they're thinking in their brains. I'm not going to say that this is socialism or Marxism because you're going to put me in a penalty box, but we know it when we see it. And they are freaking out. I'm from California, I get to talk this way. They're freaking out. How do you know I know they're freaking out? I believe it started when James O'Keefe and Hannah Giles exposed the beneficent helpers to society, Obama's vaunted Acorn. They did not vet Acorn when that was the only thing that even resembled a real job on this guy's thin resume. And when they, 20-year-olds, a 20-year-old and a 25-year-old, thought to themselves, every election cycle, people from Acorn keep getting arrested. Yet the mainstream media wants to look the other way. So they decided to do what Morley Safer's been doing for 93 years and do an undercover investigative video. And when they successfully exposed that Acorn is a symbol of the Democratic Party. In fact, I told a Washington Post reporter, and she got so angry at me. Her name's Carol Leonig, Leonig. She said, what did you think of the video when you saw it? And I said, well, when I saw the first one, I thought it had to be an anomaly because there's no way that if a pimp and a prostitute came into, I don't know, a State Farm insurance office, and the pimp and prostitute said, we want to create an underage illegal immigrant sex slave operation, that these people would be able to figure out all the different forms, you know, in the government so you can get hooked up on every possible assistance. Oh, you're going to live large, Acorn told them. You're going to live large. They even taught them to hide the prostitution money in a tin in your backyard. So that's the type of E.F. Hutton advice that you got at Acorn. And Carol, I said, I thought that the first one was an anomaly. I said, but when I saw a slew of them, were in every office except for one, where one guy looked at them skeptically and said, shoo, one out of many. I said, this is the Abu Ghraib of the Great Society. It's not that they didn't vet President Obama, it's that they didn't vet the last 50 years of progress. And progress has ruined the inner city. So please stop telling me that we have to keep voting for those people over and over and over, the Democratic Party, who have done nothing but bring despair to minority communities, despair, and disintegrated the family. What the Acorn videos represented. The Abu Ghraib of the Great Society. Write that down. Write that down, mainstream media. And Carol Leonig, do you know what she said? I resent that comparison. She's a reporter asking me what my opinion is. If I think that it reminds me of a rainbow, that's what I think. But I said Abu Ghraib of the Great Society, and she said, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. I was part of the Pulitzer Prize-winning team at the Washington Post that reported on Abu Ghraib. How dare you? Oh, I'm sorry, reporter. I didn't know when you're asking, where you learned in journalism school, when you ask a question, there are wrong answers. I said to her, Abu Ghraib was an aberrant National Guard unit one that you used to represent the entirety of President Bush's wartime record. Okay? One, we have multiple videos that show that President Obama's vaunted organization is a piece of crap. And what happened is, I believe they sparked a revolution, a new media revolution, where people, you know how a moment in your life where something snaps and you go, I get it, I totally get it. And when they saw that Hannah and James could expose Acorn and neutralize the Democratic Party's secret tax-funded weapon with less than about $2,300, a multi-state investigation for about $2,300. I think everybody in the room and around the country who felt that the mainstream media wasn't doing its job said, I could do that. And in the last 2.5 years, we have had success after success after success after success doing the heavy lifting that the mainstream media refuses to do. And as a result of it, and the neutralization of Acorn, and the great awakening of the American people, that the problem is that the American narrative has been hijacked by the mainstream media who are progressives. They're progressives. In my book, I call it the Democrat media complex, the natural alliance of the mainstream media, the Democratic Party, and liberal interest groups. And I want to emphasize, of those liberal interest groups, the violent and racist unions.
Yep. Yes.
I want to call out two members of those unions, Jimmy Hoffa Jr. Jimmy Hoffa, I was like, I knew there was trouble with that Jimmy Hoffa Jr. because his name reminds me of somebody. It rhymes with Jimmy Hoffa. And this Richard Trumka guy, and I happened upon him at Harvard. And I saw him 2 years ago, and he started saying of the Tea Party, meaning middle Americans, he said, I'm worried. What I see out there scares me. A bunch of racists, a bunch of violent people. He compared it, the environment out there of tea parties where people clean up after themselves when they leave their little picnic areas. Every now and then you find like a Ben Franklin hat on the ground and you're like, excuse me, sir, you left your Ben Franklin hat. He was part of framing the mainstream media's narrative that the Tea Party was violent and racist. And what have we gotten over the last 2.5 years? His organization biting people's fingers off, taking people hostage in Washington State, and no one gets arrested. Does anybody know that story? I'm going to get back to my California voice. Is anyone freaking out in the United States of America that unions are allowed to take people hostage and nobody gets fired? Or how about when we caught on videotape the IBEW Local 357 being coordinated by the field director of the Democratic Party, Brian DiMarzio. Yes, our cameras work, and the citizen journalists email me and say, yeah, that's Brian DiMarzio, field director of the Democratic Party of Nevada, coordinating with the unions to throw eggs at a Tea Party Express bus. But we caught it on video. And the police came to me because Brian DiMarzio called the police and said, I threw the eggs. They accuse us, Richard Trumka, saying that we're racist and violent. They accuse us of that which they're doing to us. It's projection, and by projection, I mean they're throwing projectiles at us, and Eric Holder's doing nothing. We don't have a choice but to win in 2012 because we are living in a state of lawlessness. I've got the video to prove it. I've got the video to prove it. This isn't conjecture. I've got the video to prove it. In fact, I have the video to prove the mother of all lies. The mother of all lies that's used on ABC, CBS, and NBC. They bring on Ben Jealous of the NAACP, who's part of the Democrat media complex, and he says, we condemn the Tea Party. And by Tea Party, he means middle Americans. Because they're racist. Give us an example. How about when they hurled the N-word at a civil rights legend, John Lewis and Andre Carson?
Didn't happen.
My $100,000 reward was met by everybody going silent who made the accusations. Whoops, I didn't think that Breibart was going to offer $100,000 for evidence in a sea of new media. Everybody there had video. I said, I'll give you $100,000 to prove that that didn't happen. And it silenced them. And the Associated Press of the Democrat media complex said, the absence of video does not mean that the event did not happen. So I said, I know. We cannot show you video, and you will ignore anything. You are the narrative, and you're going to do whatever you can to look the other way at this lawlessness and these lies, and you're going to project them over and over and over, because it's always been about politics for them. It's always been about pushing the progressive thing, and we're just waking up to it. But I said to Jesse Washington at the Associated Press, you inspire me. You inspire me. And you're inspiring millions of people to wake up and to do the job that you will not do. And I found 4 videos, 4, from every possible Zapruderian angle that you could possibly imagine. From the exact time and space that Jesse Washington and Andre Carson said that the event happened, where the N-word, he says, was hurled 15 times by 15 people, with 400 people, a mob, he said, surrounding him. That's a pretty distinct image. He thought that there were going to be rocks thrown at him. He said that the police had to stop it. No police report, and the video shows Congressmen Carson and Lewis walking down the steps unobstructed. No one stopped them. No one yelled the N-word. They lied, and the mainstream media continues to push that lie, and they won't show those 4 videos. You tell me they're not working for the other side. And the thing is, last time I checked, they're losing. Scott Brown, 2009, right after Acorn. The year of the Tea Party is racist and violent to try and stop the American people from waking up in the middle of a nightmare. They tried. And what happened last November?
They lost.
That's 2 in a row. I'm starting to see a trend here. And then last month, a certain congressman with a certain proclivity is no longer there. That's 3 in a row, folks. They're scared. They're very, 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 very scared. And by scared, I mean very scared. And by scared, I mean the mainstream media. They're the ones who are going to take this president who no longer is viable as a candidate. And it is going to be a weak-ended Bernie's race between our candidate and a candidate who is politically no longer with us. They are the only ones. The mainstream media is going to be grabbing him and tugging him along, and the only way they're going to be able to win is if the mainstream media does it. So I have declared war, and by that I mean a metaphor. I have declared war on the mainstream media. And what you did to Sarah Palin, cross that out. What you continue to do to Sarah Palin is going to stop, or we're going to expose you. Because you are now injecting yourselves into the process. And right now, we have exposed that Joe McGinnis. I just want to show you that this is the beginning of a process. For 4 years, 3.5 years now, you continue to report on her. And Joe McGinnis and Random House at the top of the media food chain puts out a pile of garbage that's filled with unsubstantiated rumors and gossip. How do I know that they're unsubstantiated rumors and gossip? Oh, We just got an email from Joe McGinnis to one of the Trig Palin birther bloggers up in Alaska after he handed in his manuscript in which Random House tells him these major allegations in your book are unsubstantiated and nothing but tawdry gossip. And he, after the buzzer, in overtime, he goes to one of the pathetic bloggers who's obsessed with whether or not Sarah Palin is the mother of Trig Palin. I mean, how low rent can you get, Joe McGinnis? This is your denouement. And he's begging this guy for any factual evidence on his major things. We've exposed that Random House is in on this conspiracy to send a message to good and decent Americans like Sarah Palin that we won't report on our guys, but we now get to invade your privacy, live next door to you, as he did, and then report on salacious, unsubstantiated gossip. It's not a double standard. It's not a double standard. That's too mild a terminology for what's going on. It's the war that you declared on the American people. You've taken Joe McGinnis aside. I guarantee you if I moved next door to Katie Couric, decided to write a biography on her and her family, that Matt Lauer would not allow for me to sit there to hawk the book.
Right.
This is how come I've been invited to so many tea parties. I'm not running for the presidency. And I'm just like you. I'm just sitting there going, I can't wait till we pick our candidate. I don't have an opinion on it. And have fun today at your straw poll. But I am here to tell you that the only way you're going to win in 2012 and end this national nightmare is to realize that the mainstream media has declared war on you and you have to fight back. Those video cameras are your friend. Those blogs out there are your friend, and you better be vigilant out there and start reporting on what you see, or else the inevitable may not happen. We have to be vigilant. We have to win in 2012 or we will lose this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.